Time travel. It's something that we've all thought about at one point or another. It would be amazing to go back in the past and see events which you've missed. And how incredible would it be to skip to the future to see how things pan out? Just imagine what we could do with the information we have in the present, that we had in the past, and that we have from the future, here and now. The opportunities would be endless. Sadly, the technology isn't quite there, and it doesn't look like we'll be time traveling anytime soon. However, some people claim that they've experienced the medium of time travel, and others believe that certain phenomena can be attributed to time travel. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at 3 time travel mysteries. The Unreleased Beatles album. Musicians tend to make a lot of money once they're no longer active or alive. Take Michael Jackson. Entire albums have been released, and he's made over $2.1 billion through various means since his death in 2009. The same can be said of several other artists. Tupac, Whitney Houston, and others have earned mind-blowing sums since they have passed. However, today we will be talking about the Beatles. Specifically, we will be talking about the album that they allegedly never released. What does this have to do with time travel, you may ask? Well, the Beatles were musical royalty in the 60s. Everybody had heard of them, and everybody loved them. With massive hits, John Lennon, Ringo Starr, Paul McCartney, and George Harrison were practically immortal on the musical scene of the 60s. Between 1960 and 1963, Beatlemania took over British music. The Beatles were legendary, and a massive fan frenzy hit the quartet. However, like a lot of successful groups, tension rose amongst the boys, and they stopped touring after 1966, reverting to studio-only productions. During this time, the group produced Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club, which was considered an innovative masterpiece by critics and fans alike. But it was an alleged album that wasn't released that we really want to talk about. In 2009, some 40 years after the Beatles broke up, a man from California called James Richards created a website called The Beatles Never Broke Up. Now, there are a few versions of James's story regarding how he came across this album. The first reports how James was on his way home when he let his dog out of the car to do his business. However, the dog ran off, and naturally, James went after him. He had nearly caught up with his dog when he stumbled over a rabbit hole and knocked himself unconscious. In another version of a story, he simply tripped over a rock. Allegedly, when James awoke, he was greeted by an interdimensional tourist called Jonas, who took James back through his portal for unknown reasons. Yet another version of the tale recalls that James woke up in a room full of electronic equipment and instead met Jonas there. In the first version of the story, where Jonas takes James through the portal, the pair apparently got talking about music, and Jonas was shocked to discover that the Beatles existed in our universe as well as his parallel one. Jonas claimed that John Lennon and George Harrison were still alive in his world, and that they were still performing together with Ringo Starr and Paul McCartney. James spotted a cassette Jonas owned that he didn't recognize, titled Everyday Chemistry. Jonas wouldn't let him take any souvenirs home, but James shuffled the tapes around and pocketed one. Once back in our universe, James uploaded a version of the tape to YouTube. However, fans were quick to point out that the cassette sounds like a mashup of Beatles members' singles hits. However, there is no proof that James Richards isn't telling the truth. Sir Victor Goddard and the Time Slip. The skies are a wondrous place, and ever since man evolved, we've dreamt of being able to fly. Of course, this is now possible, and thanks to the technological advancements in aircraft, being able to fly has meant that human eyes have seen things that we should not necessarily have seen. If you've ever been to Scotland, you'll know that its impressive landscapes and sprawling greenery can be extremely relaxing and very picturesque to fly over. But for one man in 1935, his routine flight over the Highlands became a little strange. Wing Commander Victor Goddard was conducting a routine aerial inspection of a disused World War I Air Force base at Drem near East Lothian. The base, which was dilapidated and had not been used for years, appeared to be being used as a farm. A day or two later, Goddard flew back towards his own base. It was a grey and rainy Monday, with low visibility and high winds, completely the wrong conditions for a pleasant flight, as you can imagine. He attempted to navigate towards Drem, but couldn't work out where to fly, given the conditions. Suddenly, Goddard lost complete control of his plane. It plummeted towards Earth through the thick grey cloud, which offered no brakes. As he reached 200 feet, he was certain it was over. But it wasn't. Goddard reported seeing swirling water and a stony beach and was flying near 150 miles an hour. Drem's hangars appeared as a silhouette in the bleakness of the afternoon, and as he approached the airfield, the skies brightened completely. As he flew nearer, he noticed a distinct difference in Drem's appearance. The airfield was freshly tarmacked, the hangars restored, and 4 bright yellow aircraft sat on the stand. One model of aircraft he didn't recognize, a monoplane of a new variation with RAF markings. Strangely, in 1935, the RAF had no monoplanes, not even for training purposes. There were men working on the ground wearing light blue overalls, which was also strange as the mechanics that Goddard was used to seeing normally wore tan grey. Nobody seemed to notice Goddard's plane flying low over the airfield, and as he pulled his joystick backwards and powered back into the skies, the grey skies and ray returned. Soon he was near his intended destination and landed, dazed. Goddard tried to comprehend what he'd seen, but simply couldn't. His colleagues thought he was either drunk or mad, and he stopped telling his story. However, 4 years later, the airbase at Drem would be refurbished. The RAF uniforms would change to light blue, and a new training monoplane painted bright yellow arrived on the tarmac at Drem. As time went by, Victor Goddard came to the startling conclusion that he'd, in fact, travelled through time. Are shadow people time travellers? Shadow people sound a bit creepy, right? They are defined as supernatural shadow-like humanoid figures that, according to believers, are seen flickering on walls and ceilings in the viewer's peripheral vision. Shadow people are considered as entities of the underworld, but those who have experienced them are not sure whether they are evil, helpful, or just there. Scientists have tried to offer explanations for the phenomena. For example, some researchers conclude that seeing shadow figures are simply symptoms of sleep paralysis or deprivation, and others have noted that drug addicts are more likely to experience these sorts of hallucinations. Alternatively, they can simply be the mind playing tricks on somebody who's experiencing a heightened sense of alert, for example, when you're walking down a dark alley at night. However, some people are convinced that shadow people are actually apparitions of time travelers. They think that the reason that they are only in shadow form is because we, on Earth, can't clearly see the future, and therefore find it hard to see these figures. Instead of being supernatural or devilish creatures, they are actually just people from other dimensions. They also don't seem to be taking any notice of the people that see them, therefore fitting in with the common time travel theme. Often when time traveling, the person experiencing it is not noticed by anybody else. The thing is, this is all heavily disputed, and the scientific explanations are well weighted in their favour. We'll never know for sure if shadow people are time travelers or not, or even real. But one thing is for sure, the human imagination is a powerful thing. Time travel sounds amazing, and if the people we've spoken about today did experience another dimension, then in some ways they are incredibly lucky. Just imagine what we could do for the world if we could access information from the future. We could cure diseases, save the environment, and prevent wars. Time travel is something that everybody has thought about from time to time, and if it is one day developed and isn't just something out of a sci-fi movie, then we reckon that the human race is in for a bewildering experience. But what do you make of these time travel mysteries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.